Welcome to today's episode of the Roxom Report. It's Friday, the 18th of July, 2025. I'm your host, Ione Butler, and joining us today is Zach Townsend. Zach is the co-founder and CEO of Meanwhile, the world's first fully regulated life insurance company denominated entirely in Bitcoin, aiming to serve 1 billion people globally by leveraging crypto-native financial infrastructure. Meanwhile is backed by prominent investors, including Sam Altman, and Townsend is leading a lean, tech-driven insurer designed to challenge legacy incumbents using Bitcoin-first automation and AI. Wow, Zach, how are you? And sorry for that
words there, yeah.
Bumbling thing at the end there. I kind of messed that up a little bit.
No worries.
Thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
Excellent.
Your beautiful London studio.
Ah, yes, it is. Thank you. It's we realize it's a good location because we can get people in, and they're kind of impressed when they get here. So, thank you. I'd like to hear a little bit about your career journey to Meanwhile, kind of what brought you to where you are today, and also kind of how Bitcoin came into play.
Yeah. Basically, my career, I did a bunch of stuff, but I originally...
We'll skip all of that.
Yeah, we'll skip all that. And then I guess where it all started is I actually worked for this guy, Cory Booker, who's now a senator, but was at the time the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, USA. And I was the head of innovation for the city of Newark. And one of the things I worked on was, like, why do people in West Newark not have bank accounts? And like check cashing, and I did all this financial empowerment and like financial inclusion work.
Why didn't they?
Well, it's sort of complicated. The reason I thought, which is sort of true, is the big banks or banks of all kinds are really bad at technology, and so
especially in the US, it's so behind.
And so the marginal cost of a bank account, like in my mind, should be zero. It's just like a bunch of database entries, but it really isn't zero. So if you have someone who isn't going to like get a mortgage or spend a lot of money on a credit card, then they might not be profitable. So I looked at that situation and said, okay, the answer here is to like work on fintech and to build financial infrastructure that can like deal with that has much lower marginal expenses. So then you can serve people who aren't as profitable. And so Cory decided to run for Senate, and I was like, I don't really care about the U.S. Senate. So I got a job at what I thought was the best fintech company in the world at the time, which was Stripe. So I moved to San Francisco in 2013, and I was like employee 37, 38 at Stripe. And then in the worst financial decision of my life, but the best life decision, I left Stripe and I went and did Y Combinator. And I started a company that built infrastructure like one level below Stripe. So Stripe Atlas was like built on us and a bunch of other fintechs. Like, we sort of invented this idea of bank account as a service. It was just like an API company. That company was called Standard Treasury and was backed by Index Ventures, Andreessen Horowitz, and YC, and Data Collective, and others. And then we sold that business to Silicon Valley Bank in 2015. And to answer your question of how I first got introduced to Bitcoin, in 2015, the second worst financial decision of my life was that Coinbase offered to buy the company. And we went to SVB because we were like, getting bought by a bank as a fintech company is very unusual. And like at the time, SVB was like a respectable place, and like we thought we'd make more money that way, and like what was Coinbase? But Coinbase was struggling with like payments and risk operations, so they wanted to acquire us. So I received my first Bitcoin from Brian in a meeting, being like, this is how like digital money is going to change the world. Like, I'm going to send you Bitcoin right now on Coinbase, which I learned later is like an old trick he had. Like, he actually like sent lots of people like a tenth of a Bitcoin or something as like a way to get them a Coinbase account.
Okay.
But anyway, that's
so you had to create an account to get it?
I had to like create a Coinbase account.
Smooth, okay.
Yeah. But then he was introducing me to Coinbase. So I didn't join Coinbase, but sort of believed in Bitcoin. And basically, I did a bunch of other stuff that doesn't really matter. Like, I had another stint in government service. I was the first chief data officer of California. I worked as a junior partner at McKinsey for a bunch of years. But fundamentally on the side, I was dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin and sort of knew I wanted to do something in the space the next time I founded a company. And we started, meanwhile, in early 2022. And we had a then slightly unpopular idea, which is that Bitcoin, not a bunch of other stuff, but Bitcoin is going to be a new economy. And that economy is going to have regulated financial institutions like any other economy. So you're going to have banks like Zappo. You're going to have exchanges like Roxom. You're going to have payments companies. You're going to have asset managers. And we had the idea that there is going to be a life insurer, which might sound incredibly boring, but is in fact incredibly exciting.
Yeah, well, it's I actually do. We had a guest on yesterday, Peter Lane, who was talking about life insurance.
Oh, Peter's a friend.
Yeah. And I was he was telling me everything. I was like, this is brilliant. I mean, it is exciting.
Did he not name drop? Meanwhile, I'm going to have to give him a
He
call.
didn't. I'll have to give him a talking
outrageous.
to. Maybe he knew you were coming on the very next day and you can just talk about it yourself.
All right.
So I actually do find it kind of exciting. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind just sort of talking about, because it's whole life policies, is that right?
Well, I guess what is important to know about life insurance companies is they sort of do two things, right? So one is we offer this critical financial service.
Right.
And yes, right now that is whole life, which is basically a product that lasts your whole life.
Yeah.
You put, let's say, 1 Bitcoin in or 10 Bitcoin in, and then we promise you whenever you die 1.5 Bitcoin or 15 Bitcoin. Depends on your age. Women get higher payouts because they live longer. So that's good. But what's cool about that is because society/governments don't want widows and orphans to starve, life insurance tends to have tax privileges and tax benefits anywhere there are taxes. So it is fundamentally a life insurance contract. It's like protection. You get hit by a bus, you get 15 Bitcoin. But then it also, in most places, your heirs get that 15 Bitcoin tax-free. You don't have to pay income tax on the 10 turning into 15. You can borrow value out of the policy. So that's what we do today is this whole life contract. But eventually we're going to do a deferred annuity in Bitcoin. We're going to do what are called insurance bonds here in Europe. We're going to do guaranteed investment. Basically, there's life insurers are companies that focus on helping people do long-term savings. So that might be savings for retirement. It's hodling for your kids. It's really anything with a horizon over a year. And then all of those different structures tend to have tax benefits. So on the one hand, we do everything in Bitcoin because we think Bitcoin is the greatest long-term durable store of value in the world. And then on the other hand, if you're going to hold Bitcoin for a very long time, there are tax benefits to doing it in these policies. So that's one half of the business. And the other half is people trust us with their Bitcoin for decades. And we also think that for there to be a Bitcoin economy, there has to be a yield curve in Bitcoin. There has to be debt capital markets in Bitcoin. And much of the world's physical infrastructure, many of the world's mortgages, toll roads, buildings are owned by life insurance companies because they have the perspective of 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
So we think that not only are we helping our individual policyholders think in the long term, but we're also able to be part of the Bitcoin economy that looks not about the price of Bitcoin today or tomorrow or what's happening this month or next month, but instead what is Bitcoin going to do as an economic system decade over decade?
How did you, what jurisdictions are you operating in right now, and how is it getting this product out to market? Because I guess if you're operating in the insurance industry, there's regulation for that.
Yeah, so we are regulated and licensed in Bermuda. That might sound
exotic.
Yeah, it might sound exotic, but I would say Bermuda is like the insurance capital of the world.
I didn't know that.
So when you walk around Hamilton, beautiful Hamilton, Bermuda, there's not a lot of tourism actually. It is like Munich Re, Chubb. There's like 30,000 Bermudians, and there's 30,000 actuaries, lawyers, and accountants, and they have like made it their business to be the like capital of insurance. And at the same time, it's also where Coinbase's offshore operations are. They might change that because they bought Deribit, but like that's historically where their offshore operations are. Block's offshore operations focused on Bitcoin, Circle's offshore operations. So they've tried to also add to this historical expertise in insurance, like an expertise around digital assets, Bitcoin, crypto. And so we're fortunate that the regulator like thinks about both those things. So we work closely with them to be the first company in the world that is a long-term insurer entirely denominated in Bitcoin. And that means all our premiums in Bitcoin, all our claims are in Bitcoin. And it actually, again, sort of boring stuff, but first in the world, like all the in-between, like
I was going to say, that you're having to deal with a lot of things that people haven't come across
like
yet.
our actual reserves are in Bitcoin. I think to our knowledge, we're the first company to ever have an audit, external audit on financials. They're in Bitcoin.
Wow.
They're not in dollars or euros or pound sterling. They're denominated in Bitcoin.
Who do you find to do that?
Actually, there was a UK audit firm called Harris and Trotter that sort of has a whole arm that focuses on digital assets. But we did get a lot of no's. But we were happy to have an external audit. You know, some companies have had a troubled history in getting external audits in the crypto space.
Yeah.
So we were happy, you know, in our second year of operations but that's just it was a requirement to be an insurance company.
Right.
So to go back to your question, we're fully licensed, we're regulated, we have all the obligations, oversight of an insurance company in Bermuda. And the way we operate is we don't like put billboards up in London or New York City. We don't actively like sell or market in jurisdictions, but we sort of operate on a reverse solicitation basis. So people, individuals or their advisors or whatever, hear about us somehow, a lot of word of mouth, and then they come to our website, meanwhile.bm, and they decide that the policy is right for them. Right now, you know, we have to be able to underwrite people, which basically means like, are you healthy or are you sick? There's you don't want to sell life insurance to someone who's about to die.
Right.
So we have to like be able to do that work. And right now we do that mostly in the US, Canada, and the UK. And then we're like slowly adding other jurisdictions as people come to our website and express an interest in buying.
That's very cool.
So if you're in a jurisdiction I didn't mention, you should still come to the website and sign
you'll
up.
make it work.
And then we're adding the underwriting capabilities for more countries as we know there's demand.
That's very cool.